Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. We will begin in just a few minutes now, but I see we already have some people connected, so I just wanted to say hello. And so hopefully now you can see me and hear me. And if you have any questions that come up during the presentation, then please feel free to write in the chat box that we have here in the Zoom. And then I'd be happy to answer any questions that may come up. And in case I don't see your question in the moment, we can certainly take time at the end to answer any questions. And so today we're going to see this, our online version of ATLAS.ti. And so this is also, it's a newer version of the software. And it's very unique in that it's completely based online. And so you don't even have to download and install any software. Rather, it's just a matter of having a computer with internet connection, and then you log into your account and you can keep analyzing your data. So it definitely presents a very important option to have nowadays so that we can work online. And especially for things like teamwork, it can also definitely make things a lot easier. And so let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can all now see. I'm already inside ATLAS.ti web. And so we're going to get to see this global overview of ATLAS.ti web and kind of how it looks and works, so you can see how to carry out any of your own qualitative data analysis projects here. And so my goal here is really to give this global overview, to give you all an idea of the different kinds of things that you can do in ATLAS.ti web. But of course, this doesn't mean that I expect you all to learn everything in this half hour that will be connected, but rather I just want you to have an idea of what kinds of things you can use. And then of course, once you start working on your own project with your own data, that's definitely when things start to click together more and start making sense. And then if you do have any questions that come up, you can always count on our support, and then we'd be happy to help. But at least now, so that you can get this understanding of what kinds of things are possible here in ATLAS.ti web. All right then, so without any further ado, why don't we go ahead and begin? So a very warm welcome to everyone. My name is Ivana Radovojevic, and I'm the project coordinator of ATLAS.ti here in our Europe office. And today I have the pleasure of connecting with all of you to provide this global overview of ATLAS.ti web, so that we can see how this looks and works, so that you can all get started with your own analysis. And just to have an idea of, as I was saying, of the kinds of things that you can do in the software so you can start planning out your own research. And then always, if any questions ever come up at any points in the future, you can always, of course, count on our supports. So right now, I am here in the welcome screen when you log into ATLAS.ti web. So you'll see that the first time you do this, you're going to need to create an account for ATLAS.ti. And this goes for any of the ATLAS.ti platforms. You'll need to make an account with your email and your password, and you'll verify that. And this is also how you can activate the free trial license. And then that will give you 5 functional days that you can use the software, so you can already start your project there. And so then once you've done this and logged in, then you'll have your information probably saved, so you can always come back in and keep working on your project. You can always see your account and access it again by clicking down here. You can see the kind of license you have. And then when you get your own license, whether that's one that you've purchased yourself or maybe your university provides you one, you can enter your same account and then activate that license key there. And that way, ATLAS.ti will recognize anytime you log in with your email and password that you have an active license associated with it. And so you'll also see, if you enter our online store, if you are looking at the licenses, if you purchase a license for ATLAS.ti desktop, so that's the Windows and Mac versions, This includes access to ATLAS.ti web. And so then you can choose which platform you want to work with. Now, on the other hand, if you only want to work with ATLAS.ti web, then you can get a license just for this version. And so then, of course, this is, it has a much lower price. And so that's also a nice option. And then this web only license is a license that's renewed on a monthly basis. And so the price you see in the store is what you would pay each month to use this license. The payment is automatically renewed, so you don't need to do anything else. And then, of course, you can cancel it whenever you want. If you decide that you're done working with ATLAS.ti web, then of course, you can cancel that monthly license subscription. But coming back to our page here, so we can see all of the projects that we've created in our account. And you can create as many projects as you would like, but typically we'll make one project, one ATLAS.ti project for every research project that we're doing. When we have a main research question, then we'll make a project to address that question. And so you can also filter here if you want to see all of the projects you've created, projects that only you have created, projects that you have joined so that someone else created and then invited you to it. And so there you can see your teamwork projects. And you can also see projects where the invitation to collaborate is still pending. And so for today, and then of course here, we can create a new project. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and open up the demo interview project that we have available. And so this is just to give us an example of what a project in ATLAS.ti web might look like. And so in this demo interview project, we've conducted some interviews with some of the top leaders in ATLAS.ti just to see their perspectives around ATLAS.ti web and the role of technology and research. I mean, it's just demo data, right? Just to show, but just to give you an idea of what kind of data we were collecting here. And so we've entered the project, and then the first thing that we see is the document manager page. So we have all of these different managers, and so we can see them here on the left-hand side. So you can easily navigate throughout all the different parts of ATLAS.ti web. And first we see documents. Okay, so, well, what are the documents in ATLAS.ti? What is it that we're looking at here? Well, as you may have been able to guess, a document refers to any source of information that we're going to be analyzing. So in other words, our documents are our data. And so you'll add your data by clicking on the button here, and you'll see that you can upload different kinds of text data. So maybe this is a Word document, or maybe you have a PDF document, or you want to create a text document right here in ATLAS.ti web. And so you can choose any of these options depending on how you have your text. So for example, if it's an interview transcript, odds are that you have this in Word format. But on the other hand, if you're analyzing secondary sources, like maybe you're also using ATLAS.ti for your literature review, then you'll probably have your articles as PDF files. And so then you can also use this option. So we also have the option to always upload the document in its original form. So that means it will look exactly how it looks downloaded on your computer, or you can just upload the text. And then in that case, ATLAS.ti will just take the text and put that in a document so you can analyze that there. So of course you can choose whichever one you prefer, but the benefit of uploading text only is that this also then allows you to edit this text. And so in case you do want to perhaps edit the content at any point, then I would definitely recommend using the text only option. Especially for transcripts, it's really common to identify little typos in transcripts so that you can easily correct that. Or if you want to perhaps anonymize the data, so then you can edit the text to remove any identifying information. But that's just to give you an idea of kind of I suppose, the trade-offs between the uploading it as an original file or just uploading the text. And then if you want, you can also just create a blank document right here inside ATLAS.ti web. And then you can directly type your content here or copy paste it from another source. But either way, we are adding our data into ATLAS.ti web, and we can open up any document by clicking on it. And then we, of course, see our full data here. So in this case, it's our interview transcripts. Now, to analyze data, what we're going to do is we just go through reading the text. And then whenever you come across something that captures your attention, something that can help you answer one of your research questions, all you have to do is highlight that segment of the text. And you can highlight as much or as little as you want. Always the full decision-making power of how to analyze the data and what data is relevant or not. It always resides in our hands. ATLAS.ti is just a tool that's here to accompany us throughout the research and facilitate our analysis, but it's not something that's going to do the analysis for us. So we highlight a segment of text that catches our eye, and then we see immediately that on the right-hand side, this window appears that allows us to add codes and comments. So a code can be simply a word or a short phrase that's describing something you're seeing in the data. So you can also think of codes as tags that you're going to go attaching to your quotations so that you can organize and start condensing all of this rich qualitative information. And so we can add a code just by clicking in here. And as soon as we do that, we see this list of codes appear. So these are codes that we already created in this project. So you can see it's already been quite coded. And so it's showing us all the codes we already have. In case we want to add any of these, then we can very easily do so. You just click on the code and now it appears below, indicating that this code will be attached to this quotation. But the wonderful thing about this coding window here is that you can create any code that you want, and we can add as many codes as we want to any quotation. So certainly we have full flexibility in analyzing our data however we prefer. And so here, for example, looking at this particular quotation, I can see that he's also talking about strengthening capabilities. And so maybe we want to create a tag, a code for that. And so you can type whatever code name you want and then click here or just press enter. And then the code is also created. And now we've just made a new code in our project. And so in this way, we can, code all of the information in the quotations that catch our attention so that we can organize this. And then later we'll see how we can really easily tell ATLAS.ti, okay, show me everything that we found about strengthening capabilities. And with the click of the mouse, we see all of the data that's associated with this code. So that's just one example of how coding is going to really help us with the analysis process. And I mean, this is a really foundational thing. Coding is something common to just about every qualitative methodology. What's different is, the kinds of codes you make or what information are you focusing on in the data. Are you looking at perspectives or experiences or processes or decisions, actions? That depends on your research question and your methodology. But certainly you can code for anything that you would like. And ATLAS.ti is always a really flexible tool so that you can adapt it with any of your qualitative research projects. So coding, definitely an important part of the analysis. But there is another equally important part of the analysis here, and that's writing our own notes, thoughts, critical analyses and reflections on what we're seeing here. Why is the participant saying this? This is where we can really start to dig deeper into the data, and perhaps not to just take things at their face value, but to start questioning what's going on here. What's the broader context? How might we be interpreting what we're seeing here? Maybe we can start linking to theory and other literature that we read, or if this reminds us of something that another participant said. And so we can start drawing all these kinds of connections through our own writing. And indeed, writing is such an important part of qualitative analysis that many methodologists even say that writing is analysis, and you're not analyzing if you're not writing. And it's true, by forcing ourselves to put our thoughts into words, it definitely helps us crystallize our understanding of what's going on in all of this rich qualitative data that we're analyzing here. And so that's what these comment spaces are for, so that we can write notes about this specific quotation here. And then when we're done, we can create the quotation. And so now in this margin area, we see all these vertical bars, and these are showing us the size and location of quotations in the document. And you can click to see it again, edit any of this information if you want to add or remove things or even delete the whole quotation. You can also see when it was created and by whom. So this is also particularly great if you're working in a team, and then you can easily see who made each quotation and when. Now, as you can see here, you can have as many quotations as you want, and they can be overlapping. And so you can really code the data in whatever way you prefer. And then you can always see all this work in the margin area. Oops, I scrolled too far to the side. But you can always see all this work in this margin area. And so just to keep in mind that you can move around with this, and you can even resize this in case you want to make it larger or smaller, so you can definitely adjust this so that it's most comfortable for you. So coding and writing our notes is really the foundation of the analysis. And this is where we're going to spend the majority of our time working in ATLAS.ti. But besides this, what are some other things that we can do with our data here? So if we look at the top, we have some more options here. So on the one hand, we can see here that right now we have edit mode enabled, and we can click on the padlock icon to disable edit mode or enable edit mode. So this means that when this is unlocked, it means we can make changes to the document. So indeed, we can click and we can change the structure of it if we want to edit how things are appearing here. And as well, we can click and type our own content or notes or ideas. And this is what I meant when I said that, if you ever want to edit any of the information to remove identifying information or fix typos, you can do this by enabling edit mode. On the other hand, if you are not planning to make any changes to your document, we recommend locking this. And so you disable edit mode. And so that way we can freely click and do things here without having to worry about accidentally deleting anything. So in general, I think it's better to keep it locked, but you know that you can always change any contents of the text if you would like. So another thing, since we are here in a computer software, of course, us, the human researchers, analyzing this information is absolutely crucial for qualitative analysis. But also, we can take advantage of some of the tools that ATLAS.ti can offer us to help with our analysis. And so let's imagine that in my data here, there are some particular words that I'm interested in searching for. Maybe we have some keywords or something that we know participants are talking about, and we want to see that. And so then we can click on the magnifying glass and search for any words in the document. So for example, maybe here, I want to look at innovation. What are they saying about innovation? And then we can click on the button or just press enter. And it's showing us this appears twice in the document. And so it's already highlighted it for us. Now, besides just finding the word for us, ATLAS.ti can also automatically code these finds for us. And so we can automatically save the quotation and attach a code. And so when you click here on this drop-down arrow, you get an option to tell ATLAS.ti what size quotation should it create. So right now it's just selecting the exact match, but maybe I wanted to get the whole sentence or the whole paragraph. And so we can select that here. Now, before finishing with my auto coding here, there's one more really helpful tool that we have, and that's that we can also add synonyms to this text search. So you click on this drop-down arrow, and then ATLAS.ti can also recommend any synonymous words. And so we can easily add these just by clicking on the plus button. So maybe, yes, if I'd like to see, because I'm interested in the concept of innovation, but maybe the participants are talking about this using different kinds of words. And so then we can add those as well. And we see indeed foundation appears, initiation does not. But you can see for each of these words, it keeps suggesting synonyms. So you can really easily expand your search as much as you would like. We can also easily remove these since they're not even appearing. You can go ahead and take them off. So we can already see we have different ways that innovation is being talked about. And so now, okay, I like this. So I'll go ahead and save these results. So we'll save the quotation of these 5 sentences that we've selected. And now we tell ATLAS.ti what code do we want it to attach to all of these. And so why not just create a code for innovation? And of course, we can also write a comment on all of these 5 quotations. So maybe I'll put my results of auto coding or of the text search. So I can just distinguish that these were created just for my text search rather than me reading through them myself. And then we also have all of these codes attached. So this magnifying glass here is great if you want to search for any particular word. And you can imagine, especially if you have a lot of text to go through, then this can be a huge help. Now, another automatic analysis tool that we have here that can help us is sentiment analysis. And so this is really helpful if you're interested in analyzing the tone with which participants are talking about something. Are they expressing positive, negative, or neutral sentiments about something? And so again, you choose what size quotation do you want ATLAS.ti to create or search in sentences or paragraphs. And then we can start the sentiment analysis. And so here it shows us all of the results and what it flagged as a negative sentiment, as a positive one. I wonder if we have any neutral. Here we have a neutral one. And so at the top, then you just select which codes you want to attach to each of these. And so in this case, you do need to create the code beforehand. So let's see, I haven't done this yet. So why don't we go ahead and do that then? Let's see, how can we create the codes so that we can save this result? We saw we're already creating codes when we code here, but we can also just add codes in the project without attaching it to anything by going to the code manager. So we saw our document manager. Now we can see our code manager. It's the same idea as the document manager, just in this case, we're seeing all the codes in our project. And here we can create new codes. So I'm just going to quickly create here for positive sentiment, and negative, and neutral. You can also change the color. As you see here on the side, you can click to give the codes any color you would like. Now we can go back and then run the sentiment analysis and add those codes. So now I can tell it, we have a specific code here. And then it will attach these codes to all of these different finds. And now we can code all 69 results. And so this is also nice, especially if when you use colors, because then you can really easily see here on the right-hand side where the different kinds of sentiments are being expressed. And so this is definitely a very interesting tool. Now, of course, if you're not interested in analyzing sentiments, you don't need to use this tool, but definitely I want you to be aware that you have this option available in case this ever is something that would be interesting for you. And so let's see, of course, depending on how much data you have, this can take more or less time, or perhaps I can even, there we go. And then finally, we can also click right here to already add people to our project. And so if you want to collaborate with someone else, you can just enter their email address here and their name. And if you want to put a message, even if they do not yet have ATLAS.ti web or an ATLAS.ti account, they will receive the email and then they can create it right there. The email will have information for it. So feel free to send this to anyone that you would like to invite to your project. And then they will be able to see everything in the project just like you do, and they can work on it. But as we saw, ATLAS.ti keeps track of who's making what and when, so you can also keep track of your work like that. And then you can use the comments and memos, for example, to exchange notes and ideas among yourselves. So these are different ways that we can analyze our data here. Now, another helpful thing that I wanted to show, taking a step back from the analysis, we can also organize all these different parts of our project. So this goes for documents, codes, memos. And so we can organize all of these by creating groups. And so, for example, maybe you're just going to first go through creating codes. You'll have a pretty long list of codes eventually. And then you might want to take a moment to organize this list of codes and start putting them together into categories or themes or whatever kind of organization makes sense for your project. And so from all of the managers, you can see this arrow on the right-hand side that opens up the sidebar. And so this has much more detailed information about this particular code. And what's really great about this sidebar is that you can edit any of this. If you want to change the name of the code, the color. And we also see here, remember we wrote a comment on our quotations? Well, actually every single individual object in ATLAS.ti has its own comment space. So this is like a sticky note that's always going to be attached to that object so that we can use this to provide more information about that object. So when it comes to writing comments on codes, we always recommend to use this space to write out the operational definition of your codes. What exactly is this referring to? Down below, we can also see the quotations associated with this code, so our data segments. But here, this is also something I wanted to draw our attention to, and that's code groups. And so this is how we can start organizing them. And you'll just click on the Add to Group button. And then let's say you start recognizing some overarching categories here. For example, in our case, it was AI. And okay, we already have this group, but let's imagine I want to make it now. You just type any code group name you want, click on the plus button, and you have it there. And now this group is saved and you can use it again, and then when you click on Add to Groups, it'll also appear here. So creating groups is a great way to organize your codes as well as your documents. Maybe you want to organize your male and female participants, or where do they come from, or whatever kinds of dimensions are going to be interesting for your own research. And then if we ever want to focus on particular groups of codes, so then what we can do is even set filters, and any of the managers. So let's say, I have many codes here, but I just want to see the codes about artificial intelligence. Well, we can set a filter here and tell ATLAS.ti, I only want to see codes from the code group of artificial intelligence. And we apply the filter rule, and we only see these codes now. And so these filter rules, you'll see them available throughout ATLAS.ti web. And so this just makes it easier to query our data in different ways. And we can always click on the filter button and remove it if we want, so that we see everything again. And then here, if we click on this download button, you can download your codebook. So you'll get an Excel sheet of all of the codes in your project, as well as more information about each one. And especially if you've written those definitions in the comment space, then you have your full codebook. You have every code that was used and how it's defined. And then this is something really great to include in final reports or presentations. So moving on, let's see the Quotation Manager. So again, a manager, it's the same idea here, but now we're seeing all the quotations in our project. And again, we can set filters if we want to see quotations of particular codes, or that was created by a particular person or comes from some group or document. But what's also nice here is that we have this chart that's visually showing us the frequencies of all of our codes, so how many quotations each one has. And you can also click on these if you only want to see the quotations of these codes, and then this also filters them. And if you click again, then you take the filter off of that. So it's also dynamic in this way. And then if you want to download your results, you can click on the button here, and it'll download an Excel sheet of your quotations. And now again here, depending on what you filtered, that's what will be downloaded. So what you see is what you get. So if we just have research quotations, then we can make a report of what we found about research. Or if we don't have anything selected, we're seeing all the quotations. So we can see here the total number. Then we can also download this report of all of them, right? So you can choose what kinds of reports you want to make here. But now, speaking of reports, we also have a dedicated reports page where we can also create all sorts of different kinds of reports. So we can also save these reports here in ATLAS.ti web. And so then we can even build reports like some filter of some aspect of our project we're interested in, and we can save it here. So we can then also always easily come back to it. And I want to see what we have about artificial intelligence. Well, then we can open up the report and see all the data here. And the fact that these reports stay saved here means that we can make the report, continue analyzing data, adding new data and coding it. And then if it fits the criteria of the report, it will also appear here. So it'll keep, dynamically updating itself. So then how do we create a report? We can click on the button here, and then we have two options. So the code distribution report is essentially what we were just doing in the Quotation Manager. So we can look at code frequencies, and we can decide which codes we want to look at. So maybe I want to see about what kinds of positive sentiments were expressed, but not just any positive sentiments. In particular, I want to see what came from one of our participants. And if you want to focus on a particular document or group of documents, then we can also add a filter here to set that, right? So then in this way, we can see how we can start to build queries about our data. What are the different questions we have in mind? And I want to see the positive sentiments expressed by interviewees. And of course, we can give this a descriptive title. And so in this way, we can build these reports. But okay, we've already seen a bit with this code distribution, but I also want to show this code document table. So this report allows us to analyze our code frequencies across our documents, and we can make more global comparisons. And so we're going to make a table where we cross codes and our documents in rows and columns. So we just click to select what information do we want. Do you want to see the global code group, how many times any benefit was mentioned? Or maybe I want to see how many times each particular benefit was mentioned, each code individually. So we can select that. And then which documents do we want to look in? Or maybe we want to compare across our documents. And so, for example, if we have male and female participants, then we can also select this. And so now what the table is showing us is that this code appears 3 times in the documents that come from our female participants and 7 times in the documents that come from our male participants. So this is another example of how creating groups can be a great help for us, because if you know you want to compare and contrast between certain dimensions, then you can create the groups. And then in this code document table, you get this nice bird's eye view, so you can easily see what kinds of things were mentioned by men and women. And then we can, of course, reflect on this. Now, what's also great is that we can always easily access the data behind these numbers. So you click on any cell, and then ATLAS.ti will show you the resulting quotations below. And so again, we can also save this report. And so I'll give it a descriptive name, comparing men and women. So then we can always come back to this in our reports page. And then if we want to download these results, again, we can download just these quotations. What did men say about this benefit of allowing for new tasks? And then finally, we also have the Memo Manager. So yet another manager, but here we're looking at memos. Now, a memo is essentially a notebook. It's a blank space that we can use to write down anything that we would like. And so in this demo project, we have some suggestions like having a research diary. You can also make memos on different concepts or topics, so you can write all your ideas there. Maybe we'd even make a memo for our code document analysis, and then we can write what we're seeing in that table, how we might interpret these results. So remember, because writing is so important, that's why we have all these different places we can write ideas. And if you're working in a team, this can be especially helpful to note down the different roles or the schedule you're following, or to kind of have a bulletin board to exchange ideas, since anything that anyone writes will appear in the project for everyone. And so this is really the overview of ATLAS.ti Web. So you see how you can analyze the data, and then how you can retrieve the results and query the data in different ways. Now, if you ever want, you can also download this ATLAS.ti Web project and open it in ATLAS.ti for Windows or Mac. And so then you can click here to download it for ATLAS.ti Desktop. And then you can open the project there and continue working on it. Here you can get an Excel that gives summary information on your entire project. You can also edit the project information. You can also invite people here. And this is where you can delete the project. And so now you're familiar with all the main features of ATLAS.ti Web. But if you do ever have any questions or doubts, just click here on this chat icon in the bottom corner. And then you can type anything that you're interested in. Maybe you say, I remember that I can create groups, but I don't remember how to do it, or I got confused about that. So then you can search right here. And so this will show the articles that we have in our help center. And so you can see all the results here. You can also directly open the full help center. And so then you can see we have all sorts of articles that go, provide more detail on how to do all these different things. And on the other hand, you can also get directly in contact with one of us. And so you can send a message right here, and then a member of our team will reply to you as soon as possible. And then we'd be happy to help, to answer any questions, or if you run into any difficulties, count on our support and feel free to reach out. And then that being said, I'm also happy to share my own contact information. If you ever want to reach out to me, or if you have any questions about using ATLAS.ti or getting a license or anything related to ATLAS.ti, feel free to send me an email at either of these addresses. You can always directly reach me, and I'd also be happy to help. And so I can now take a moment. I'm happy to answer any questions here, so I can see. Yes, this is a good question. Are there any capabilities that the online version does not have that Windows and Mac do? So it's true, there are some differences. Just because ATLAS.ti Web is younger, many features are still being incorporated. And you can see exactly these differences if you click on the 3 circles here on the bottom and then features. And this will open up the product feature comparison table. So this is a table showing all of the features in desktop and web. And so like this, you can very quickly and easily see what kinds of differences there are. Like one main difference is that currently in ATLAS.ti Web, you can only analyze text data. If you want to work with images and videos and things like this, you would need to use ATLAS.ti desktop. But yeah, in this table, you can see all of this. So I think that this is really helpful to decide if ATLAS.ti Web will suit your needs, or if you need something else, then you can also, then you can of course count on ATLAS.ti desktop, and you can always move the project there. And we have one more question, if ATLAS.ti can transcribe video voice recordings. So I'm afraid that ATLAS.ti does not automatically transcribe data, web nor desktop. So in that case, I would recommend getting your transcription elsewhere. You can use another software. There are many software that can do automatic transcription, as well as websites or services you can pay. And then once you have the transcript, you can add it into ATLAS.ti. On the other hand, if you want to type out your own transcript, then of course you can use ATLAS.ti. You can create the blank document and type your transcript there. So great, I hope I was able to answer everyone's questions then. So yes, I don't see any more, but feel free to drop me an email if any questions do come up, and I'd be happy to help, or write us here in the chat. But yeah, I hope that you all enjoyed the presentation then, and now you have an idea of how you can start your own project in ATLAS.ti Web and get to coding your data and finding the answers to your research questions. So with that, we'll go ahead and close the webinar for today. But as always, feel free to count on our support, reach out to us if you ever have any questions or comments, and we'd be happy to hear from you. So thank you, everyone. And other than that, I just wish you all the best in your qualitative research journeys. And I hope that everyone is healthy and doing well. And may ATLAS.ti serve you well in your research. So have a great rest of the day, everyone. And goodbye for now.